What did they want me to write for them to accept me? So I was just looking at that Google Doc, trying to guess what they want me to write. And a couple of hours went by and there were 0 words on that Google Doc. It was just blank. But a year later, I got into med school with ADHD. And I want to tell you all about it and how it actually looked like, because ADHD makes it very difficult to go through that system. And I want to tell you the real version, what it really looks like. Not what you want to brag about or what you want to put on a resume, just the truth. Hi, I'm Alanud. Welcome back to my channel. I graduated from Berkeley with honors in both MCB and Econ, so I understand the pre-med grind. I understand working your whole life for a specific goal. Yes, I just recently decided to go into medicine, but it was always there. It started way before I figured it out. So always been working towards that goal. And it was scary when you actually start it, when you actually know that it's time to fight that battle and it's time to figure it out and figure out what those adcoms want. So, as usual, a little bit different, but we're gonna do a little bit of diagnosing on what actually went, what happened, what went wrong, and if I went back in time, what I would change, which is gonna be our prescription today. How I would change knowing what I know today with the hindsight and the knowledge I have today. Applications is literally like a stress test because they're trying to figure out not only who you are, what your activities, what is everything about you, but they're also testing you. They're testing how you can deal with stress, amount of stress, and a lot of workload, because when those secondaries come in, I remember I had to write essays nonstop for like 3 months because I had to get them 2 weeks in and make sure that they got submitted, make sure that everything looks right, because literally my career was depending on it. So it is a stress test, as I said. So what my ADHD looked like was a lot of things. So I'm gonna talk about 7 things that I want to mention today, just because those are the first things that popped in my head and I don't want to go forever and ever about how it looked like. I'll just tell you what I think is the most important. So let's dive in. So first of all, I want to talk about the personal statement. I would argue that is your most important part of your application. It is really what truly decides if you're gonna go in or get into med school, because it talks about the reason you want to be a physician. It talks about why you're here today, what pushed you to be here today. So, as I said, most important part. But experiencing the personal statement was very interesting for me, because having ADHD, first of all, makes it hard for you to talk about yourself because you're so always, I think maybe it's something else other than ADHD, but it always makes you think about how people may perceive you. And not only that, but also I can't be too braggy. Your brain keeps saying that. You have to make it perfect. And that's the root of it, perfectionism. You're trying to write for them, not for you. You're not writing, or at least what I started with is I was writing for them. I was writing what they wanted to hear, what I think would resonate with them, not why I actually wanted to go to medicine, which was not the point of the question. The point of the question was, why did you want to go to medicine? So I was writing for them. I rewrote the opening statement multiple times, multiple stories. I started with multiple stories rather than medicine. What started that idea? What started me wanting to go into medicine? That was what I needed to do. I needed to do that. But what I did instead was I was just writing for them and not me. So it was very hard trying to be perfectionist. The second thing is deadlines. The med school application is not very accommodating deadlines wise. There is a lot of stuff you have to keep in track of. Not only that, but there is a lot of deadlines that you have to keep in track of. And guess what? I'm not the best with deadlines, because that means I'm gonna work 30 minutes before that deadline, which you shouldn't do with your med school application. That's the last thing you should be doing. You shouldn't write your application 30 minutes before you submit it. Trust me, you're just gonna spend money for no reason. And those applications are goddamn expensive, so you can't do that. I submitted actually 2 days after after the applications opened, I wanted the jitters to calm down beforehand, which I actually think I did right. But with everything leading up to it, I was not good with trying to do everything before that deadline. I kind of finished my application the day I submitted, which was wrong. I should have finished it a couple of days before. I should have had it completed a week before applications were due, so applications opened, because I needed to have fresh eyes on it. I needed a fresh set of eyes on it. I'm very glad that I had people that went through it for me, but if you're alone or you don't trust people to read your essays, yeah, trust me, there's some people that I do not want them to read my essay because their advice is bad. I'm gonna be PG-13. It's bad. So yeah, also be careful on who you give your application, but you need a fresh set of eyes on it. So you need to be able to pique your interest to do those stuff before the actual deadline. Another thing I had was interviews. As I said, yes, I am pretty charming, I think, but being put on the spot with questions that are insane. Like, trust me, I got a question about you accused somebody for being racist and they lost their business. What the fuck do you do? I was like, what? Excuse-moi? What the hell is that question? That put me on the spot because who asked those questions first? But, they're trying to test the way you react. So, yeah, interview prep is very important. You have to do it. And you needed to prep. I knew I needed to prep, but I couldn't make myself start because I was so overwhelmed about interviews and interview types. There's like 3 million types of interviews that they can interview you. You could be with another person. You could be alone. It made me so nervous to start. Not only that, but I started binge watching YouTube videos. That's number 0.4 that I want to talk about. Stop. Don't do it, please. Don't make what I did and binge watch every YouTube video about application because they say the same things, and also you do dilute what you know by having more people talking because people are weird, and yeah, they give advice out of their I'm trying to be PG-13 but it's not working, but they give bad advice, so don't do it. Don't binge watch. Also, just start prepping. It doesn't matter if your answer is perfect. Just watch yourself, hear yourself. Anyways, I'll talk about it more with my prescription. Anyways, number 5, listening to every piece of advice. Don't do that, please. Don't listen to everything you see on the internet. I have seen people that give application advice that never got into med school. Like, explain, elaborate, excuse me. I want to understand, why are you a med school advisor if you've never gotten into med school or never worked for adcoms? Sounds suspicious, because it is. Don't do it, guys. Do not do it. Don't listen to everything. Take everything with a grain of salt. Take what you think will help you and leave what you think would not. Also, if you really, really need application help, talk to adcoms. Talk to past adcoms. I wouldn't say go to your university advisors because some of them are bad. Okay, my advisors are bad. So yeah, don't do that sometimes. But if you know somebody that has extensive experience in the adcom space, or they have gotten into med school themselves, ask them for advice. You don't have to take their advice, as I said. You don't. It's your application. You know what is best for your voice to be out there. So use whatever words you want to use. Sometimes you do have to be neutral. We understand it, but it is your application. So remember that. Also, another thing I did was panic over everything. I panicked after I submitted my application. I panicked before every interview. After interview, I panicked every secondary. I panicked all year long. It's normal. It's normal to panic. Trust me, I got in a couple of panic attacks because of it. So a lot of panicking is just, you cannot control it. With ADHD, you are more prone to be panicky, so you cannot control it. But the best thing is just remembering facts over feelings. What are those facts and what are the feelings? Being panicky, that's a feeling. What about facts? The fact is, you don't know the decision. You don't know who's going to be behind those doors. And you cannot decide who reads your application, who doesn't. Maybe they reject you because your application got into the wrong hands. Somebody that didn't resonate with it. Maybe you got accepted because it's the other way around. So nobody knows what goes behind those doors except them. So why the hell are you trying to predict that? Also, we don't know the result, so why panic? We have time. So let's all chill. Anyways, move on. Even though I talked about some advice here, I should have just put that in the prescription, but we're gonna talk more about it in a bit. So another thing is that it's gonna get messy. It's gonna get messy, and it's gonna get messy fast. The first couple weeks, it makes sense. The personal statement, your activities, your everything, those will go through pretty smoothly. And then those secondaries will hit, and it's gonna be bad because with ADHD, you're already disorganized. So imagine you get 3 million applications at the same fucking time. Yeah, not good news. So I did 2 things that I will mention. Also, another thing I'm mentioning here before we go on to my prescription is don't spend all your time making a spreadsheet. It's not worth it. You just need a simple spreadsheet, like the simplest spreadsheet. I'll literally link a spreadsheet I made down below, a copy of it. So y'all don't make a spreadsheet because it's there. Just use it. Delete whatever you don't want and keep what you want and use it to organize. Anyways, let's move on. So now that we talked about my problems that I had with my application, or whatever I remember, because that's a blur. It's so traumatizing that I don't remember half of what happened last year. So, yeah, great. Anyways, what actually worked? What I would think would work, or what I would have told myself this year going to last year, First of all, please stop writing for other people. Your personal statement is about you. It's about why you wanted to do medicine. It's supposed to be raw and authentic. Yes, you do have to do the grammar and make sure that everything looks perfect, but it is your story. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just you. So just be you. Also, just write whatever is in your head on a piece of paper, and then we correct everything later. That's the best thing to do. Like, I've been writing more recently, and that was the best thing I've ever done, because I just wrote everything on a piece of paper, and it worked. It worked. Yeah, I have obviously, because I'm gonna go into med school, so obviously it kind of works. Let's move on. So another thing, urgency hack. Deadlines are bad. I hate them. I can't do them. So what I did, I made 300 other deadlines. How did I do that? How did I motivate myself? I literally just scheduled with advisors, and I would tell them in the what do you want to discuss? Oh, I finished this essay. I would like you to go over it. And that would force me to do the essay before I meet them. Yes, maybe I've done it 30 minutes before I meet them, but I'll get the feedback and I'll do it. And I did it 300 times and it worked. That's literally what I also did for my econ honors, is I just scheduled 300 million things. So this is tested. It's not like the other one of what I would told myself 2 years ago, but these stuff I tested and it works. Make your own deadlines. Put somebody else responsible, your friend or anything. Guilt trip yourself into writing that essay. Why do I keep saying essay? I've been in lab too much this past semester that I call everything an essay. Anyways, so let's move on. This video is getting too long, so I should. Another thing is just talk to yourself for the interview. Prep doesn't have to be perfect. That's the reason why you're prepping, is because we're not perfect. So when you're trying and apologizing all the time about what you're saying, aka me calling my friend my calendar, listen, it made sense in my brain and I apologize for that. But they're no, it's actually funny, so no apologies. And I got in. You've been through a lot, having ADHD, going through pre-med. We know this for a fact because there's so much research on it, and we've been through it and we got through it. So you can acknowledge that. Yes, I would be careful with talking about your ADHD a lot because med schools are risk averse, so they're trying to get the least risk they can. So if you don't have perfect stats and perfect everything, I would kind of only mention it when it's appropriate and not just talk about it the whole time. But remember, it's a part of you. So I did mention it to a couple of schools and I got in, so I don't think it's a deal breaker. Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of. So yeah, as I said, just talk to yourself on the camera like I'm doing right now. Just record yourself and hear yourself back, and you're gonna realize that you're getting more comfortable talking to a camera and not a real person. But also, you're gonna look at the camera more. You're gonna do gesture more like I do, and you're gonna figure out the groove of it, and you're gonna also be able to have concise answers because you do need to communicate effectively and concisely. That's what doctors do, and you need to do that or at least semi-perfect do that. So just talk more to a camera. Also, as I mentioned before, I made a spreadsheet down below. I really just made it to help you guys, so please don't say, oh, we'll give you money. I don't need it. It's free. You could just copy it using Google and use it. I think it's going to help you a lot just because it's going to remove the pressure of trying to make a perfect spreadsheet that you do not need. Trust me, I made it. I spent so much time on trying to make it because it felt exciting and it cost me a lot of time. A lot of time I could have spent writing an essay. Also, as I said, facts over feelings. Always. Always when you panic, ground yourself, use your senses. I don't remember, it's like 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, something like that. I don't remember, but ground yourself and then remember, are you feeling it or is it fact? If it's not a fact, we don't worry about it right now. We just try to regulate. Also, as I said, don't listen to everything that is on the internet. People literally just say stuff to get viral or become viral. Not everybody is trustworthy. That's just the truth of being on the internet. So please be careful on what advice you hear and what advice you listen to. And last thing of all, I know you're watching this because you're binge watching videos again. Go write that application. It's not gonna write itself, you know? And you're gonna thank me later. But stop binging. There is no secret formula into getting into med school. Trust me, if there is, I would have found it because, you know, ADHD hyperfocus. But there is not. Nobody knows what's going on behind those doors except them. So nobody knows what they want except them. So why try to figure it out? Just spend that time and energy to actually write an application that is you. Not perfect, that is just you. My application was very imperfect, trust me. Okay, I didn't have typos, but I didn't have a little bit of grammar mistakes because I was taught English in a very different country. I know why. But I used words that my advisor told me could literally get me rejected from medical school because I was talking about a sensitive topic that I can't even mention here because it is something that is very heavily censored. But I talked about it because it meant something to me. If it didn't get me into med school, then that is not where I meant to be. So write your application the way you want it to be, the way you want it to sound. Don't still be professional because it is professional school. So don't like start being like skibbity toilet or whatever my siblings say. But you know, or I don't know, they have this labubu. Like I know what a labubu is, but like they're saying this thing with a labubu. I don't know. It's like zut anger labu. I don't get it. I never understand. You know, in the 6th, 7th, we understand all. I sound old, right? But you know what I mean. It's like, don't use that language, we know, but like still be professional, but also be you because you're gonna shine brighter than whatever version you're creating in your head. So just trust me on this. Also, yeah, as I said, my interviews never went perfectly, as I mentioned before. So don't try to have that perfect. You're gonna panic after those interviews because you thought you could have said something better, but it happened the way it happened. So just don't worry about it. Just take the data you need and remove what you do not need. You just need that one acceptance. One acceptance means you're gonna be a doctor. Doesn't matter where it is, where it's from. You're gonna shine wherever you are. So do not let people make you doubt yourself. And just trust me, that is the best advice I can give you, is just be you. Anyways, I hope you really liked this video. If you did, you can watch my last video on how I survived pre-med. And I love you all. Your brain isn't broken. It's just different. And it's actually an advantage sometimes. The application, unfortunately, was not designed for us. It was designed for a neurotypical brain, like the medical system is, and I'll be talking about that next video. And we're gonna get through it. All of us are gonna get through it, and we're gonna be doctors and colleagues. I trust in us. So we got this. Anyways, I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And tell me in the comments below what one thing about the application that is still confusing. I could talk about it in shorts if that is very helpful. Or you can tell me down in the comments and I'll answer your comments when I see them because sometimes I forget I saw something. Yeah, I love ADHD, don't we all? Anyways, see ya.